You slept, but still woke up tired. And it's not just your body. It's your mind that won't slow down, even when everything is quiet. You've been carrying this weight for a while now, and what makes it heavier is not just the problem. It's the silence around it. Because you did pray, you asked, you believed, you tried to hold on, and yet nothing seems to be moving. And part of you is starting to wonder if maybe you've been overlooked in a season where everyone else seems to be stepping into their breakthrough. Maybe you haven't said this out loud, but you've thought it. God, did you forget me? That question sits deeper than you want to admit. Not because you've lost faith, but because you're tired of hoping and not seeing. Tired of waiting for a door that hasn't opened. Tired of trying to stay strong when nothing around you is changing. And the hardest part? Life doesn't pause just because you're struggling. People keep moving. Opportunities keep passing. Time keeps going. And you're here, in this in-between space, where you're not where you were, but not where you thought you'd be either. It feels like being stuck in a room with no clear exit. Let me ask you something. How long have you been waiting for your breakthrough? Not just in days, but in emotions. In nights where sleep didn't come easy. In mornings where you had to push yourself just to get up and try again. Because waiting like this, it does something to you. It makes you question your direction. It makes you doubt your timing. And if you're not careful, it starts to quietly whisper that maybe nothing is changing at all. But here's the truth most people don't talk about. Waiting can feel like rejection, even when it's not. And that confusion, that tension between what you believe and what you see, that's where the real struggle lives. You're not weak for feeling this. You're not failing because you're tired. You're human, standing in a moment that doesn't make sense yet. And still, even here, something is happening. You just can't see it yet. There's a kind of waiting that drains you. It's quiet, but heavy. You wake up, go through the motions, and somewhere in the background of your day, there's this constant thought, I'm still here. Nothing has changed. And without realizing it, waiting starts to feel like standing still. Like your life is on hold until something finally happens. That's passive waiting. Feels like delay. Feels like being overlooked. And over time, it slowly disconnects you from hope. Because you begin to measure progress only by what you can see. And right now, you don't see much, but there's another way to wait. It looks similar on the outside, but internally, it's completely different. It's called active waiting. Active waiting doesn't mean forcing outcomes. It doesn't mean pretending everything is fine. It means choosing alignment even before results show up. Just waking up and saying, I may not see movement yet, but I'm not stuck. It's subtle, but powerful, because instead of asking, why is nothing happening? You begin to ask, who am I becoming in this season? And that shift changes everything. Active waiting is where strength is built quietly, where your thoughts begin to soften instead of spiral, where you stop chasing control and start allowing God to shape something deeper than just an outcome. You're still waiting, but you're no longer wasting. And maybe this is the moment to make that shift. Not dramatically, not perfectly, just honestly. If you're open to it, I want you to do something small, but intentional. Type this or whisper it quietly where you are. I am not stuck. I am being prepared. Say it again. Slower this time. I am not stuck. I am being prepared. Let that settle for a second. Because the truth is, what feels like a pause on the surface may actually be a place of alignment underneath. where things you can't see are starting to come together in ways you wouldn't understand yet. And right here, in this kind of waiting, you're not behind, you're becoming. Most of the important things in your life were not built in the light. They were formed in moments no one saw, in quiet decisions, in hidden struggles, in nights where you had to hold yourself together without applause, without clarity, without immediate answers. And this season is no different. It may look like nothing is happening. It may feel like you're being overlooked. But some of the deepest work God does happens in the dark. Not to hide you, but to form you. Because there are parts of you that can only grow here. Patience that doesn't depend on outcomes. Trust that isn't based on visible progress. Strength that doesn't collapse when things take longer than expected. And I know that's not always comforting to hear, because part of you just wants the door to open. You want movement. You want confirmation that you're not doing all of this for nothing. But what if this season is not empty? What if it's actually full, just not in the way you expected? Maybe you've been thinking, if something was really happening, I would see it by now. But growth like this doesn't announce itself loudly. It happens slowly, quietly, deep beneath the surface of your daily life, where your thoughts are being reshaped, your reactions are being refined, and your identity is becoming more grounded than it's ever been before. You're learning to stay without constant reassurance. You're learning to trust without immediate evidence. And that kind of transformation, that's rare. Because most people give up here. Most people walk away when things go quiet. But you didn't. Even if you feel tired, even if your faith feels smaller than it used to, you're still here. And that matters more than you think. Because the version of you that will walk into your next season is being built right now. Not later. Not when things finally change. Right here, in the dark, where roots grow deep enough to carry the weight of what's coming. And even if you can't feel it fully yet, something in you is getting stronger. Progress doesn't always look like movement. Sometimes it looks like stillness, like silence, like days that feel almost identical, where nothing obvious has changed. And that's where it becomes easy to believe that nothing is changing. But let me show you something simple. Think about a seed. When it's first planted, it disappears, buried in the soil, covered in darkness, completely out of sight. If you didn't understand the process, you might assume it's gone, that it failed, that nothing came from it. But underneath, something very real is happening. Roots are forming. Structure is developing. Life is pushing through resistance, long before anything breaks the surface. And here's the part most people miss. If you dig it up too early, you interrupt the growth. What looks like nothing is actually a protected process. And maybe that's exactly where you are right now. You've been planted, not buried. Held in a place that feels hidden, but is actually intentional. Because not all progress is visible. Some progress is internal. It's the way you don't react the same anymore. The way certain thoughts don't control you like they used to. The way you're learning to sit in discomfort without immediately trying to escape it. That's growth. Quiet growth, but real. Maybe you haven't noticed it because you've been looking for something louder. A breakthrough, an open door, a clear sign. But what if your progress right now is happening in a way that protects what's coming? Slow enough to be stable, deep enough to last. Take a second and really think about this. You're not the same person you were a few months ago. Even if your situation hasn't changed yet, something inside you has. And that matters, because when the surface finally breaks, when things begin to shift visibly, it won't be fragile. It will be ready. So don't rush this part. Don't dig up what's still growing. You're not behind. You're underground, and something is taking root. So what do you actually do while you wait? Not just in theory, but in the real, everyday moments, when the silence feels long and your mind starts drifting back into doubt. Because active waiting isn't just a mindset. It's a way of moving, even when things feel still. Let's make it simple, not overwhelming, just something you can return to again and again. First, come back to alignment. Before you reach for your phone, before you check for updates, pause, take one breath, slow and steady, and gently remind yourself, I don't need to force today to have peace in it. This is where it starts, not with control, but with grounding. Second, release what you can't carry. There are things you've been holding onto mentally, running scenarios, replaying conversations, trying to predict outcomes that haven't happened yet. It's exhausting, and most of it isn't yours to manage. So here's a small reset you can use anytime. God, I give this back to you. No long speech, no perfect words, just that. Let it be enough. Third, do the next small faithful step. Not 10 steps ahead, not the full plan, just the next right thing. Send the message. Finish the task. Take care of your body. Show up, even if your energy is low. Because consistency in small things creates momentum you don't immediately see. Fourth, protect your inner environment. Not everything deserves access to your mind right now. Some voices increase anxiety. Some habits drain your clarity. And in a waiting season, what you allow in matters more than usual. Choose what brings you back to peace. Even if it's quiet, even if it's simple. Finally, stay open. Not tense, not forceful. Open, because things can shift in ways you didn't expect, at times you didn't plan. And you don't want to be so focused on when that you miss what's already beginning. This is active waiting. It's not loud. It's not dramatic, but it's powerful. Because instead of being pulled by uncertainty, you're being anchored in something deeper. And if you can, I want you to anchor this into your day with one simple declaration. Say it slowly and let yourself hear it. I am in alignment, even while I wait. Again, I am in alignment, even while I wait. You don't have to feel it fully yet. Just let it begin, because this is how peace returns. Not all at once, but step by step, as you learn how to stay grounded in the middle of what hasn't changed yet. And right here, you're learning how to wait without losing yourself. Let's slow down for a moment. You don't need to perform here. You don't need perfect words. Just stay exactly as you are. If you can, close your eyes. Take a gentle breath in and let it out slowly. God, I've been waiting, and if I'm honest, it's been harder than I expected. There are moments I feel strong, but there are also moments where I feel tired, uncertain, and quietly discouraged, because I don't understand why things are taking this long or what you're doing in the silence. But I'm still here, and right now, I invite you into this space, into the thoughts I haven't said out loud, into the weight I've been carrying, into the questions I don't have answers to. God, I release what I've been trying to control, the timelines, the outcomes, the pressure to figure everything out. I give it back to you. Even if part of me wants to hold on, I'm choosing to loosen my grip, just a little. And in this moment, I ask for something deeper than answers. Give me peace. Not the kind that depends on everything changing, but the kind that settles me, even while things are still. Calm my thoughts. Quiet the anxiety that keeps returning. Strengthen the part of me that still wants to trust, even when I don't fully understand. God, renew me from the inside, where I feel drained. Fill me, where I feel weak. Steady me, where I feel lost. Gently guide me back into alignment. And if something is being formed in this season, help me not rush it. Help me trust that what you're building is worth the wait. Even here, especially here, remind me that I am not alone, that you are present, that you are working, even in ways I cannot see yet. I receive your peace now, not all at once, but enough for this moment, enough for today, and I choose to keep going, quietly, steadily, with you. Amen. You don't need to change everything today. Just one small thing, done with intention, can shift more than you think. Because right now, it's not about rushing forward. It's about staying connected to peace, to clarity, to God, in a real, grounded way. So here's your one step, simple, but powerful. Sometime today, I want you to create a quiet moment, even if it's just a few minutes. No distractions, no noise. And in that space, ask yourself this one question. What is one thing I can do today that aligns me with peace? Not pressure, not urgency. Peace. It might be something small, sending a message you've been avoiding, taking a walk without your phone, saying no to something that drains you, or finally resting without guilt. Don't overthink it. Just choose one thing and follow through, because alignment isn't built in big, dramatic moments. It's built in small, honest decisions repeated over time. And this one step is how you begin to move, even while you wait. Before we close, I want you to anchor this moment. If you're willing, type this in the comments or whisper it quietly. I trust the timing of my life. Say it again, slowly. I trust the timing of my life. You don't have to feel completely certain. You don't have to have everything figured out. But something is shifting. Maybe not around you yet, but within you. And that's where it begins. You're not stuck. You're not forgotten. You're not behind. You're in a season that is shaping you, strengthening you, preparing you for what's ahead in ways you couldn't see before, but will one day understand when everything finally comes together. And until then, stay here, stay steady, stay open, because what's coming will meet you ready.